Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of the Daily Bone Podcast, where we discuss all things crypto markets. That includes the majors like Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, Memecoins, and of course, NFTs. Today, we're going to talk about the continued market dump, the overall macro outlook, and how we, well, maybe just me, is currently playing this market volatility. I'm joined here today by nobody. I'm here all alone giving you a solo show. We need a wellness check on Kix to see where he is. But otherwise, I'm going to run you through today's show. I'm going to run you through the news, all the updates, and give you everything you need to know. Chat along with me in the YouTube. Let me know what you want me to talk about. Give me somebody to bounce my ideas off of while we go through this. This can be a first for me. So fingers crossed. Hopefully everything goes smoothly here. Before I get started, though, I want to thank the partner for today's show, Gemini. Love Gemini. Go over to bodoggos.com/Gemini to get this amazing deal. Did you know your credit card points and miles can lose value to inflation while they collect dust? Credit card companies often reduce the redemption value of your points and miles over time. Now imagine a credit card with rewards that can grow in value. With the Gemini Credit Card, you can earn Bitcoin and one of 50 other cryptocurrencies instantly with, get this, no annual fee. Gotta love no fees. I'm going to be signing up for this card ASAP because I have closed on my house and I do not need to worry about my credit in the near future. Every swipe at the store or gas pump earns you instant rewards deposits straight into your account. Sign up now, bodoggos.com/Gemini. Get a $50 Bitcoin bonus. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm here by myself today. The team is traveling to an exotic location. You're going to see a ton of content coming from them during this. So I'm going to kick it off here. We're going to go a little quickly into this. We're going to go right into the weather report. And from there, I'm going to kind of just go through the stories, let you know what I think about them. And I can talk to, any commenters. If you're listening on Spaces, give us a like, give us a bookmark, give us a comment. If you're feeling generous, give us a retweet. If you're on YouTube, like I said, chat with me. Let's have some fun today. Let's have some fun. All right, let's take it away here. We've got the weather report. All right, over the last 24 hours, it is now Wednesday, November 5th. Crypto majors are down again. Bitcoin under 103K. Ethereum down to 3360. Solana below 160. And Hype, one of the few coins up on the day at $41.35. Over the last 24 hours, over $150 billion got wiped away from the total crypto market cap as $1.7 billion was liquidated from leveraged traders. Macro and political uncertainty has fueled the sell-off as the odds of a December rate cut has fallen below 70%. We're down to 67% there. That is scary. Next up, not all bad news. Some people are happy today as MegaETH announced the conviction round methodology of their allocation process on Twitter this morning. Community members and aligned investors are going to receive the lion's share of allocation, with the vast majority of tickets being allocated at the minimum amount. Finally, SBF back in the news, appealing his 25-year prison sentence yesterday, saying that he was presumed guilty. He accused media pressure, prosecutors, FTX's new management, and the judge of rushing to leading to judgment, leading to a false conviction. That is all for the weather report. Back to myself in the studio. Excellent weather report as always, Ray. Got to say it every time. It is tradition. All right, folks, let's break down this news. Let's start over with the MegaETH story. So if you're listening on Twitter, I'm going to be running through this. I'm going to have visuals up on screen. Highly suggest you check us out on YouTube. We're going to be relying heavily on visuals today while we are talking about the rest of the show. All right, so they released allocation details here. First step that they took is they basically broke things down to community and then long-term investors. They had two different buckets. And what they did was they said, okay, 1/4 of all allocation is going to go to the community. The community only allocated about 10% of the total capital. So they're getting an outsized chunk. They're getting more allocation per dollar than public bidders are. So they said, okay, we're going to reward the community first. And then they kind of further dove down into it. So anyone who wasn't community, they then tried to figure out how aligned with MegaETH are you? And they used a combination of different factors here. They used on-chain activity, they used social signal, organic presence, they used MegaETH interactions on testnet, And then they also looked at the willingness to lock. So here is a graph that they published here, basically showing you those 4 axes: their social score, on-chain score, mega score, and social filter. I think they use a number of different metrics here. They use ethos, they used MegaETH testnet activity, and then also the locking. And they basically like came up with this little parallelogram, or this little trapezoid here. And this is kind of like the allocation target. After they basically have acquired their community members and their they're calling them aligned investors, they then filtered some people out and then came up with the allocation curve. For locked bids, 100% fills for the top scores, and it's going to drop down steeply to the minimum fill. And then for unlocked bids, 30% fill at the top. So basically, if you put a max bid in and you were unlocked, the most you're going to get is 30%. If you put a locked bid in and had a pristine account, you could be filled for that full allocation. And they shared a couple charts here showing the drop off on allocation, both locked and unlocked for this this part of it. And then finally, they released the total number of allocation by the numbers. As you can see by this chart, most of participants got the minimum allocation of $2,650. 73.1% of them, that's $3,745 minimum allocation. Only 85 got the max bucket of allocation here. What kind of jumped out at me here at first was just it's a smallish number of people who are, in this round. So like you're seeing just over 4,000. I thought this number was going to be much higher in terms of the number of people who got allocated here, but not very many. 85 people, very happy, probably max lock. 3,745 people at the minimum level, probably a little bit happy as well, as they are not locked. We've been talking about MegaETH for a while, and I've generally been fairly bullish on it. We've given Bodogos ample opportunity. If you were a Bodogo, you had the opportunity to get testnet ETH on MegaETH. We were talking about all the different things we were doing on testnet. Highly recommending you interact there. So hopefully a bunch of the listeners have kind of jumped in and got part of this allocation. Yeah, so we'll see what happens. I believe we're going to get official numbers tomorrow. I'm not sure when the claim is going to start. I'm going to have to dig a little bit deeper on like when you're going to like lock in allocation, when you're going to be able to refund your money, and then when TGE is. But that's basically the breakdown on the news we got this morning out of MegaETH. Next up, I want to kind of talk about the market dump. We saw a crazy day yesterday in the market. We saw Bitcoin drop below 100K briefly. I'm going to pull up some charts here and kind of give thoughts on it. One thing I was looking at with the price action on Bitcoin, I was kind of looking at the 10-10 liquidation followed by the sell-off we saw yesterday, and like trying to piece together like where it could have matched up with last cycle. So looking at the daily here, we had the big liquidation wick on 10-10. We had a total wick size. We had a low of 109K, a high of 122, basically dropped 13K. And then about 20 days later, we saw the sell-off over these last 2 days, where over the last 2 days, we've lost 3.6. We've lost almost 8% on Bitcoin. So pretty wild run. I zoomed back to last cycle to kind of look at the same time frame. I basically, if you're watching on YouTube, you'll see these two purple boxes we have here. And I saw like almost like an identical sell-off on our first top back in 2021. So looking back at April 2021, we saw, a fairly decent size wick here. We saw a 9K wick, low of 51K, high of 60K on Bitcoin, followed by a little bit of a recovery, and then we had this mega sell-off just about 20 days later, same time frame, May 13th, and then this led to a drawdown of Bitcoin all the way back down to 30K. Before pushing up to a new all-time high in November. So if history repeats itself, we could be in for a bit of a dip. I tend to think it's interesting to see the same kind of pattern and spread on these two moves, but I think the conditions are a bit different right now. In my opinion, there's more tailwinds and there's more institutional bid, that we wouldn't see, you know, this drop from a high of 65K all the way down to 30K. I don't think we're going to see that 50+% drop. Like a 50+% drop on Bitcoin here is going to take you from 127, you know, you're going to be at like 63. So like 63, I don't think is going to be in the question. Even use this level of previous resistance here at 66. Like, I don't think that's in play, but I do think we could see, you know, retesting this 98 again, breaking below the 98, maybe 93. I don't think is out of the question. Anything lower than that, I'm gonna begin to get concerned. And then, like, you know, your final, like, smash the glass in case of emergency at 75K was the previous support here after tariffs earlier this year. So we'll see what happens. You know, we saw a similar drawdown, similar panic in February with the tariffs here, where we kind of sold off from a high of 108 all the way down to 75. 25% drop off here, 25% drop off of our current all-time high at 128 would be a little math here. 96K. So again, putting us right in this range. You see a similar sell-off, 96K. So the question is, like, what do we do about this? Is really what everyone's here listening and what I'm trying to figure out myself. You know, I'm fairly heavily allocated right now, and I didn't take enough USD like into stable coins anywhere along this top where it would have been smart. Like 1, 2, 3 opportunities here. So, like, how do you play this market? If you're in stables, DCA in. If you're not in stables, like, I'm considering, like, almost like just cutting risk. If we do drop maybe back below, like we say, we retest 100 again, I would consider cutting my own risk to an extent, maybe losing out on some upside, but also having stables for like a worst case scenario down in the 90s. So that's my thought. I've been holding steady so far, but if we do drop below, you know, below 100 again, I'm going to consider taking a little bit off the table just for some dry powder lower. So that's my thought process there. Looking at a couple other charts, one of the outperformers on the day was Hyperliquid. So we'll pull up Hype chart here. Green on the day. Pretty rough day yesterday, but we're above yesterday's close and yesterday's open at $41, showing a bit of strength. I'm going to pull up DeFi Llama, take a look at revenue and fees, because when you're having all this chop and volatility, I have to imagine that these perp dexes are like eating on fees and revenue. So like these could be like almost safe haven during these times, or like maybe they don't go down as badly in comparison. 24-hour fees, we've got, you know, Tether, Aave, Circle, Jupiter, and Hyperliquid. Hyperliquid at 7 mil in terms of 24-hour fees. Let's look at revenue. Revenue by protocol. See what we're looking at here. 24-hour revenue, 4.3 million for Hyperliquid, 21 million on the week, firmly in third. Notably, what isn't up here is Aster. Like, I don't even see Aster on here. I think maybe did they stop reporting revenue on Aster? I think that might be the case, because they couldn't like find accurate numbers. 7-day revenue still looking strong. Hype token. My largest position right now, you know, full disclosure. We tested these support levels here yesterday at $35 and bounced off, which was nice to see. We still have this really, really big wick from 10.10 all the way down to $21. I don't know if that's going to get filled. I think that these this wick on Hyperliquid is a little crazy. Maybe it's just maybe we're just looking at KuCoin could be the issue. Let's look at it on Binance. Yeah, that wick doesn't exist on Binance. I think that was just a KuCoin issue. Yes, I mean, it's gonna be interesting to see where we go from here. I mean, holding up, but I mean, still looking like we're in a downtrend with the current price action. Draw some lines here, but not ideal. But we'll see what happens on the Hyperliquid front. Any other tokens you guys want to take a look at, I'll take a look at as well. Share them in the comments. Next thing I just want to touch on briefly was this SBF. SBF fighting the ruling, which was funny in my eyes. So he's arguing that he was presumed guilty in the trial, and that everybody was gunning for him, and that there was media pressure. The prosecutors, FTX's management, and the judge are all in cahoots and basically rushing to judgment to basically convict him wrongfully and make a example out of SBF. Pretty crazy. I think he sees CZ basically getting the pardon and is saying like, hey, like where's mine? And I don't know. I don't think he's going to get it. I think he's going to continue to serve. I think Trump took so much backlash on the CZ decision when SBF is basically the face of like crypto corruption and crash. There's no way that they're going to pardon him. I would think, at least. Like, I would love to see what these odds are. Maybe they're up on Polymarket. Let me pull Polymarket up and see what we got for SBF. It's loading. Jarvis, pull up the Polymarket odds on SBF. All right, here we go. Release from custody in 2025. We're at a 5% chance. It spiked as high as 10% yesterday. It's been as high as 13. Do we have any indication that's like more forward looking? No. 4% chance Trump pardons him. I like this. I like how this one pops up. Which guest will appear on Up Only podcast? And SBF is listed as a possibility at 4%. Going off on tangents here, though, we're having some fun. SP Energy in the comments asking, wait, is this a solo ratio? Yes, this is a solo ratio. We have a wellness checkout for kicks, and the team is traveling to an exotic location yet to be named for some content. We're going to see some fun stuff coming out from the team, of course, on this one. But yeah, just me today. You've got me. You're going to have to deal with me, and I'm just going to talk about, whatever we feel like. So I saw a request for Fartcoin. I'll show that up here in a second. I'm taking a look at these guests for Up Only podcast. We got Jeff Yan, Thomas Lee, Jesse Pollock, Brian Armstrong. I mean, these seem like pretty good bets. If you take Jesse Pollock and Brian Armstrong being on, I imagine Brian Armstrong would kind of be there over Jesse, in my opinion. I like the odds better. CZ at 27% is interesting. Totally, Ansem. Yeah, some big names on here. Michael Saylor again. I actually just watched the Michael Saylor Up Only from when they did the show previously. That was a good episode. I highly suggest you go back and check that one out. I think I heard some stuff out of Saylor, like, and it's fun looking back because it was such a different time back then. But like his mind frame and mindset, I heard a lot of different like thoughts from him that were not like as publicly shared. So that was a good interview. I highly suggest you check out that Up Only podcast from the past. On a tangent, we can kind of pop back into where I wanted to go. While we're on Polymarket, I want to check out the Fed rate cuts. I saw that we were at 67% on the official Fed site. This has dropped down now from 90% on October 27th, which, if you remember, was when last month's FOMC occurred, and Jerome Powell kind of came out saying, hey, there's no guarantee that December is going to have rate cuts. We are now all the way down to 70% on Polymarket as well. No change at 28%. So interesting market here. We continue to dip. We've talked about this on the show before, though, and we've basically said, like, he really didn't say much different. Like, he didn't really like communicate much differently than he has in the past with like, hey, we need to look at the data. Like, the next rate cut isn't guaranteed, et cetera. Like, he just kind of said the same thing again. And then the market's like freaked out and panicked. So I'm looking at like the yes here, but it's hard to take this yes because it's so correlated to like our current crypto bag. So like if I'm taking the yes here, like I feel like I'm going to have the same kind of risk return as of buying like whatever XYZ crypto asset I want, because clearly the market thinks that we might not be getting rate cuts. So if we do, that's going to be a like it'll like provide certainty and then price go up. So I don't know if taking this bet here is the best way to express like, hey, I really think the Fed's going to cut rates. because, you know, you're putting in at 70 cents, you're going to make what, 30 cents. So not even a 50% gainer on this one right now. So interesting to see. We'll continue to monitor the situation for the FOMC coming into December. Yeah. All right, continuing on. Some more bearish news. I'm going to pull up a couple different stories here with some bearish indicators. We had car seizures hitting new highs that we haven't seen since 2019, I believe. Or 2009. So 16 years since we've seen this amount of repossessions on vehicles. It's kind of showing that there's like financial crisis going on. We're seeing like high interest rates. We're seeing people not make payments. We're seeing inflation run rampant. So looking at this as a key indicator, and then also I saw that new home turnover, basically percentage of homes that turn over every year, is at like decade lows. So we're not seeing houses turn over. We're not seeing car payments being made. So like we're seeing like some very, very like dangerous indicators. And it's just a matter like, does the Fed step in, lower interest rates, try to like print money and like assuage these issues? Or are we going to like basically hit a breaking point and then like force the hand? So we'll have to see what happens. I'm not a macro expert, but I'm just kind of looking at all the signs and like thinking like, okay, what could we potentially see here going forward? And those are some of the concerning signs I saw over the last 24 hours. We're going to go to the comments on YouTube now. We had a couple requests to look at and give thoughts on a couple different coins. First one I saw was Fartcoin. Taking a look at Fartcoin, I've been bullish on this and bearish on this on different points. I bought this, I think if you remember, if you're a longtime listener to the show, we bought this live on the show at like sub 10 million, maybe even sub 5 million. And I sold it for like a very small profit. I don't think it even got up to like 50 million at that point. So had some fun there. This thing ran up to Pico highs in January before the Trump collapse, over 2 billion. Basically collapsed all the way down 90% to 228 million. Began its run up again. Second resurgence, double top, first top in May, second top in July, and it's kind of been like down only since. I had the support line here at right around 91 cents that we kind of held for a bit, broke, and then it became resistance, and we've been pretty far down. Looking at the current levels here, like we are like approaching the low that we saw back in March. So if you're a Fartcoin believer and you're like someone who says like, okay, like I think that this meme still has legs, you can draw a thesis off of it. Like, I don't know if you're going to get a much better price than where we are currently at 280 mil. First green candle. The MACD is breaking bearish, but on the daily, but I mean, always can go lower, but if you're DCAing, you're never going to catch the true bottom. If you're DCAing into something like Fartcoin, like this is a point where I think something like that could make sense. I don't know if it's the asset that I'm going to bet on here, but I think that, I mean, basically looking at this, if you believe in it, it's not a bad spot to buy. Second request was PENGU. We'll take a look over at PENGU. I have a line here. I don't know when I drew this. Might have been recently. At 100 and what's 1.5 bill? No, this price isn't right. I gotta look at the supply PENGU. Anyway, PENGU, big run up over the summer, all the way up to almost 4 cents. This is gonna bug me because I need to look at the supply of PENGU. I'm gonna pull this up on Dex Screener instead of Trading View, so we can talk about it in terms of market cap rather than price. All right, 1.3 bill right now, 15 cents. We hit just off of 2.8 bill on its summer high. Basically the same top that we hit after it launched in January earlier this year. This one hasn't pulled back quite as far to its lows as Fartcoin, and I think that makes a lot of sense. I think that there's more like supply control, and the holders for this it's like a different holder set than what would be for Fartcoin. I think Fartcoin's much more decentralized, and I think that there's more of a floor on something like a PENGU. So it looks like we're holding right on this kind of weak support line that we set prior to the run in July, right around 930 mil, hovering around that. Yeah, so I mean, if we hold this support, maybe this one, like, I'm not quite as sure that we're in the best spot to buy. I mean, we're in a clear downtrend, and it's like it's going to be tough to break this downtrend. I mean, you're going to have to get over 1.4 bill, so you're looking at almost a more than a 50% gain on this to get there. But Memecoins bounce, you could see it. I wouldn't be DCAing into PENGU quite yet. Maybe wait until we get closer to this 500 mil circulating level. Doing a fib up here. It's basically, yeah, confirming 500. Maybe start DCAing at 775, down at 500 potentially. Targets there. So like 775 and 500. If we hit those, maybe I'd be interested in PENGU. I have a small PENGU bag, but it's nothing like significant. Basically just holding it over on abstract for XP over time. Kix is alive and well. Just had confirmation. He won't be joining us, but he is all good. Wellness check confirmed on Kix. All right. Let me look through the comments here, see if we have anything else on the docket here. Let's see if we have anything else in the comments. Nothing else in the comments. Looking over at the docket, couple news stories. We'll just fire through rapid fire here. We had ZK Sync release updated tokenomics. We had Michael Saylor and Strategy release a new product, STRE. This is a euro-denominated perpetual preferred stock. We're trying to figure out how much of this how many words we can jam into one of these products and try to continue to sell and get some Bitcoin. We'll see how this one works. We had Chainlink partnering with Russell, the Russell Index. They're going to be publishing global indices on chain. We have Stables, the stable chain. Basically, the name of it is Stable, which is going to introduce massive confusion. It's like the hardest thing ever to like put this into a newsletter and like have the sentence make sense. But their chain went live for testnet. This is using USDT as gas tokens backed by Tether. That testnet went live, and we had Berachain recovering $12.8 million from the exploit of yesterday. The chain went live again. Money was returned. One benefit of centralization, I guess, is seeing Berachain able to do something like that and prevent hackers from, stealing and getting away with the money. We saw Hollywood.com partnering with Crypto.com to introduce prediction markets. Prediction markets, all the rage. Crypto.com, I feel sorry, excuse me, has a number of these partnerships now. So that's pretty interesting. And breaking this morning, we saw Ripple announce a $500 million strategic investment. One second here. I'm going to clear my throat, and I don't want you guys to hear that, so I'm going to mute myself real quick. All right, there we go. $500 million strategic investment for Ripple. I'm going to pull this one up because I haven't had a chance to dive into it quite yet, but let's take a look. $500 million strategic investment led by Fortress and Citadel Securities, valuing the company at $40 billion. The investment follows Ripple's strongest year to date and its recent $1 billion tender offer at the same valuation, underscoring continued confidence in the company's growth trajectory and long-term vision. So looking at a $40 billion valuation on a Ripple. XRP is sitting at $134 billion market cap right now. Fully diluted 226 bill. So it's funny how like you can look at the valuation of a company versus the valuation of the token. Interesting to see this. They're going to be getting more into crypto solutions for businesses per this press release, which makes a lot of sense with their rails. So XRP continuing to be one of the tokens that outperforms over this this cycle, which is kind of like taking a lot of crypto by surprise. We had a donation on YouTube here. I'm just gonna show it here. Is your creator coin on Zora official? What's your plan with it? Maybe you can use trading fees for giveaway participants. We launched on Zora yesterday. We launched a creator coin. I can share that. We launched it live on air. We were talking about live on air yesterday. So if you weren't watching yesterday's show, you can tune back in and see what's going on there. Our plan with fees right now is basically like any revenue that we get as Bodoggos, we're going to be putting some of it towards K9 strategy, where we buy and hold Bodoggos. So that's our main strategy. We haven't come up with like solid plans on the rest of the trading fees. We are going to be using some of it to also like purchase other creators in the ecosystem that we feel like aligned with or that we're interested in. We're also going to do some trading, buying and selling of other creators. So I think that's an interesting angle we'll go as well. We are going to continue to do Yeet giveaways though on our show. So if you're looking to win some money on our show, go to bodoggos.com/yeet, and we're going to continue to do those cash giveaways as well. Now that we're on the Zora page though, I want to take a look at some of these creators. I'm holding a decent bag. I'm actually going to log out of Bodoggos and go to my own account here so that we can see what I've got and what I've been trading. I think I'm down on most of these. I did make some buys after the Kobe acquisition, thinking that we're going to see more of a push towards Zora and creator capital markets. Up only potentially being on Zora is interesting to me as well. All right, so we are now logged in. Let's take a look at holdings here. I've got Docker, got a bunch of Gabe Haynes. I got some of Nick's image, some Shlomo, Zeem, Visualized Value, Jack Butcher, Gremplin, Zora TV, Kaleo. Down on most of these buys, but still like holding. I mean, market's down. I'm not going to sell at a loss. We talked about this yesterday. One of the ones I'm interested in is Zora TV, on the thesis that up only streams to Zora, but they don't want to create a token, so they stream to something like the Zora TV. This would be pretty interesting. We had some hiccups this morning getting the show set up and streaming live, but we will be doing live streaming to Zora going forward on the show as well. So you'll be able to catch us on Zora. They have a pretty nifty streaming service. I was testing it out on my personal account as well. Looking at some trending creators though, top creators, and kind of giving thoughts here. Number one thing that jumps out at me is I always look at how many creators are over a $1 million market cap and kind of using that to judge like where we are in terms of health, volume, etc. And right now we're sitting at 8. This has been upwards of 20. So, you take the top 20 creators and you look at like who's here, like you're almost a 2x to get them to $1 million. So I think you're at a point where you can consider DCAing into creators if you believe in Zora. I don't think it's time to all in by any means, but I think that there could be some value here. Creators that are interesting to me, I like ZXBT as long as he continues to post. Basically, the thesis is art on Zora, OG artist. If Zora takes off, art will probably take off as well. This one's just under a $2 million market cap. I acquired some of his token directly, as well as some of his Genesis piece as kind of like one of those odd speculative bets on, the first one being the one. The first piece is sitting at 128K market cap. I have some of that. So ZXPT is one I'm interested in on Zora. Also looking at some others, pretty bullish on like creators who have like viral potential where you can just swing trade on lows and then like kind of sell on highs. Gabe Haynes comes to mind on this one. He does some viral stuff. He's obviously participating here. He's posting a lot of his videos. If he has, viral moments, I could see Gabe Haynes, hitting that $1 million mark. And that's, just shy of a 3x from here. I don't know what this origin stories is. This is a new one, but I need to be paying more attention to sort of this trending tab because you are seeing like newer launches here. Maybe you can get in on some trending creators as well, but nothing here is jumping out at me. You could always take fastest horse too. Docker is perennially been the #1 token on Zora. I think this one's went upwards of Where are we at here? Upwards 8.5 mil at its peak. Not even 1 month ago. So generally, if the ecosystem pumps, Docker pumps because they essentially trade other creators as well. So like as other creators do well, Docker does well. They do buybacks of their own token. So this one is interesting as well. I don't think I've ever been to their webpage, but we can take a look at their treasury. So they have $638,000 in treasury. They're holding it mostly across themselves and looks like Zora token. It's like 375,000, over 50% of it. But they are holding a good amount of propaganda. That's one of the top coins. Coinage as well. They actually bought some. Hey, look, they bought some Daily Bone. Let's go. $5,000 of Daily Bone. Let's go, Docker. Love to see that. Interesting. Let's explore their creators. So I wonder like how these ones work. They're falling under the Docker brand. I need to look into this more because on their webpage they have brands listed and they have a lot of the top creator tokens, propaganda and coinage, 11 a.m. listed here. Cool. We'll take a look here. Another comment here from Try. There's a lot of confusion because you didn't share it on your X account like me. If you announce this, people can understand whether it's legal or not. Good post. Please spend time on chain news and project. Yeah, we haven't announced it on X yet. I think that being like, hey, everything's down. Like we had such a bad day yesterday in the markets. Let's talk about how we launched the token might not make a lot of sense. So we do have some stuff planned around it. And we do have some announcements that are going to go out, but we just wanted to, not take yesterday and say like, hey, we know everyone's bags are down. Let's channel that negative sentiment into our token. So you will hear from us and you will see more information regarding this over time for sure. All right, let's go, Nicola. Bought some of my token last week. Yeah, I think that's about it for Docker. Like I gave a couple of my thoughts on interesting buys, what I'm holding, why I'm holding it. Yeah, and we'll continue to monitor. We'll be talking about Docker. We are partnered with them and we will be doing more trading, like I said. So we'll jump back into Docker, I'm sure, in the coming days and weeks. I'm going to take a look over at my watch list over on Dex Screener today. This is part of my morning routine, basically going through all of these different tokens, seeing what is potentially pumping. We are seeing some alts begin to bounce off of bottoms on the 24-hour. If you're looking at following along on YouTube, more green than red on the altcoin side, Memecoin side right now. Seeing some strength from the X402 tokens specifically. Ping up 49% on the day to 19 million. Wire up 39% to 16.8 million as two of like the bigger X402 tokens. Tibber, we were talking about this yesterday when we had Node on, and last week when he got me to top blast at like 400 some mil. Tibber up 11% here. We said, yesterday looked like a good time to potentially jump in and grab more Tibber. I want to see like where we drew that circle yesterday. Yeah, I don't know if we're entering that. We really entered that zone. We might have missed out on that absolute bottom opportunity, but there might be a good buying area here around the 270 mil mark if we get down there again. So AI tokens doing well. Seeing a couple of them looking good. Let's take a look over at base. Nothing interesting on base. Believe we keep seeing launch coin spike and drop. A lot of interesting activity because this is like essentially a dead coin at this point in sub 1 million market cap. We saw a ton of volume and like these scam candles yesterday run from 170K all the way up to almost 1.2 mil, like close to a 10x, like just randomly. I don't know what was the catalyst here, and then ran up again almost to 1.3 mil. So now sitting at 750K. I don't know if this is like a shot at the Believe team and Launchcoin team for what they've done. It'd be really funny if like Launchcoin flips Believe is like a meme. But my concern is like I don't know where the supply is. I don't know if it's like the Believe team holds this and is like set to benefit from something like that happening. So like I'd be concerned like of that narrative, and I don't know like why we're seeing that otherwise, because they basically deprecated that token. But one I've been watching as well. Take a look over at the Murad tokens. These have been basically bleeding out for a while. SPX leading on the day, up 10%, 636 mil for SPX. This one has fallen pretty hard off of highs. Over on the Hype ecosystem, a couple meme coins are doing okay. We talked about SEDA on the show yesterday. This is my first introduction. Didn't get to dive deeper on this. Basically, Node was saying has relations to oracles and how oracles will work on Hyperliquid and a tie-in with the HIP3 on-chain equities. So this is what I'll be watching as well. I need to dive in a bit deeper first, though. Taking a look over at virtuals. Virtuals green across the board for the most part, which is good to see. The actual virtuals token slightly down, 878 million for virtual. This one's interesting. They continue to pivot, and I think that's necessary in crypto. It's really hard to like judge what they are and like what they could potentially become. I mean, what you have for certain is that they are basically like one of the top ecosystems on Base, and Base is, releasing a token and is hopefully going to be driving more, volume on chain, looking to reward users of their main apps. So I feel like there's always a case to be made for virtuals in that sense. I haven't been participating in virtuals launches. I don't know if they're even like launching very much right now. I do have some virtual locked up, and I do have a couple like of the tokens. I think I have some like Trust and some Vader that are staked, but I don't have a ton of exposure outside of that. We are approaching, I don't even know what this line. This line's like local support at 825 mil. We're sitting at 881 million, all-time high, all the way up at 3.3 billion. So you're looking like a 4x to all-time high. You're looking at almost a 2x to its local high in May. Could be an interesting one. You have a number of things going for you. Like you said, you have Base. Two, you just the AI play. Like if AI and crypto pops off again, I think that virtual is obviously going to be what people are looking at as a potential like expression of that trade. So that's super interesting to me. And I think that like the odds of AI and crypto popping off again are like very much non-zero. It's two of the biggest narratives right now in finance. So it would not surprise me if that narrative kicks off. And if it does kick off, I think virtual is very well positioned. It's just a matter of like where you want your entry to be. Like, do you want to be greedy? Do you want to wait for this 500 mil mark again? Do we get down there if we have a continued sell-off in November? Like, that's an option. I mean, it's an option now. DCA after, 1, 2, 3, 4 red days in a row, after kind of hitting 1.2, that's a 50%, almost a 50% drawdown. So yeah, this is one I'm actually going to be adding to my list of tokens to potentially buy on a dip. But yeah, virtual is very interesting right now. I'm talking myself into it more and more as I go. Not looking great right now are the NFT strategies. Pulling up the watch list on NFT strategies. Punk strategy is down to 36 million. This is a disaster, and honestly one that I very much incorrectly predicted. I thought we were going to be sending the new highs with new tokens launching. I think there's a combination of factors. One is like people are saying, okay, well, it's played out. It's old. The meta is over. Two, tokens are going down. NFTs are going down. So by default, leverage bets on tokens and NFTs go down. We are well below the 886 fib on this one. Like, this is a level, like this 886 is like the, like, hey, if something's going to bounce off this and come back, like this is like the last level. So not looking great for punk strategy below there. Like, it could just be a slow bleed off or just kind of, chop in this range just perpetually. So not great there. Sorry if anyone followed my bullishness into this one. This one did not turn out well. I'm still holding the bag here. Other strategies of note, sorting by market cap. Vibe strategy holding the strongest, 3.7 mil, 1.6 mil on Ape strategy, 1.5 mil on Pudgy strategy. And then I want to look at RektStrategy. I don't have that one added here yet, but I think this one underperformed even my expectation here, being their first ERC20 token strategy. RektStrategy launched a few days ago. This one peaked right at 1 million and now it's trading at 350 8K. This is a harder sell versus just buying the Rekt token. And I think it's going to be a good case study if and when Rekt runs again to see what happens on a 357 K market cap coin with buys and sells. I want to pull up the NFT strategy site and just take a look at how much Rekt they own, because I'm like very curious as to how that's going to affect like the buyback. So if you're not familiar with these strategies, essentially what happens is like they start with NFTs, they would accumulate NFTs as the treasury of the strategy token grows. This treasury grows because there's fees on every swap. And then as they accumulate enough to purchase an NFT, they buy it and they list it, 10, 20% higher, depending on like how the contract is set up at the time. With Rekt, basically what they're doing here is they're buying 42.1 billion token amounts, which is 0.01% of the supply. And essentially it's basically a sitting bid for the Rekt token. So right now they have 0.913 ETH in treasury bidding for 42.1 billion Rekt supply. Anybody can sell it now if they wanted to at this point. They could sell Rekt token for that amount. They wouldn't because it's below, what the price is. But looking at the holdings, they hold, where's their total holdings? They have 11 open positions valued at 83 ETH at the current price of Rekt. So it's kind of hard to tell like where these are going to sell off, because you're not getting a price on Rekt. You're basically saying like, hey, this is where it's listed at. This 0.01% of Rekt is listed at 7.44 ETH. But if Rekt rips and it rips through all of these positions, this ETH is going directly to buy and burn the RektStrategy token. So when like a punk sells or like some of these NFTs sold when the market's moved up, like it would have, a small effect on them. But I'm curious to see like what effect this has at 350K, because this is a much smaller market cap than we've seen, and meme coins are much more volatile than NFT assets. So case study of Rekt goes up, I'm going to be looking very closely at RektStrategy. There may be like opportunities to like say, okay, Rekt's going up. Maybe RektStrategy is a play here because it's going to hit enough of those buy orders and it's going to add more buy pressure and burn pressure on this to send it up for like a short-term trade. So this is one I'm looking at. I'm not buying it here. I'm just basically like looking at this when I'm looking at Rekt. I'm saying, okay, like, is this performing the same way I'd expect it to, given that Rekt is going up? So I'm going to take a close look here. And then basically that's like a short-term swing trade, maybe like over the course of a day or even like an hour or two, but something I'm going to have my eyes on the strategy side. All right. Again, we have gotten a bit off course. Let's see, let's go back to strategies. What else are we going to look at today? Look at perp dexes. Hyperliquid and Aster doing well. Aster's back over $1 on the day, was below $1 for a good amount of time, even after CZ shilled it. Jupiter, Aventus, Zeta, all even or down on the day. We'll take a look at privacy tokens on the Zcash run. Railgun up. Most other tokens, though, that I'm tracking are down on the day. Nothing to note there. And prediction market tokens. I think we were early to the prediction market meta. A lot of these are struggling. I think all of these were at least $1 million market cap when I started tracking them. Number of them now below, some even below 100K. So rough go on the prediction market bag overall. Just like almost the entire altcoin sector right now. But if you take these swings, you have to be prepared for things like this to go to zero. I'm still holding almost all of this bag here in terms of this basket. So hope continues. We're going to see prediction markets, I think, have shown basically strength in this market as compared to other sectors. You're continuing to see all-time high volumes. Kalshi last month set an all-time high in October. It's, entering the zeitgeist of just the general like population. You're seeing it talked about on NFL broadcasts. You're seeing Polymarket odds being mentioned like everywhere. You're seeing Hollywood.com partnering with Crypto.com. So I think we're going to continue to see prediction market plays. And then as such, we're going to see good on-chain applications taking advantage and like leveraging prediction markets to like to gauge. So like you're gonna see bots, you're gonna see like dashboards, trading terminals, all these different things. And I think that some of those are going to be outperforming the market in the next 3 to 6 months. And we're going to see these tokens entering the market too. Polymarket confirming their token with Tyler on Morning Minute. So interesting stuff there. Continuing to monitor on the prediction market front. Let's go through the notes. I think we've covered just about everything out of my call sheet. We've almost lasted an entire hour of me just talking here with my friends in the audience. Thanks again for the comments. Really appreciate it. Really appreciate all the listeners joining along with me during my first solo show. Hopefully my last as well, though I had some fun. Yeah, I got everything here. Everything's pretty much wrapped. We're gonna end the show today. Thank you again for listening to me. We do this podcast Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern time. You can catch us on Spotify. You can catch us on Apple, all your major podcasting platforms. Watch us back on YouTube. You can see me talking to you in crystal clear HD from the new home. Thanks again. We'll catch you tomorrow. Have a